Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Just a short intro today before content of the day to say thank you for the success of the Kickstarter campaign. We finished yesterday on New Year's Day with a total of 2,042 backers, which was 105 better than what our goal was. That is absolutely fantastic. We rallied the support of about 500 backers in the final day, which is crazy. It was the single best day that we've ever had in a Kickstarter campaign, both in terms of the number of backers and the financial support. We also shattered our best record in terms of the total amount of dollars that we raised on the year. So an absolutely fantastic success, our best Kickstarter ever. And that is thanks to all of you. If you donated, a huge thank you from me and my family and my staff and all of the people at Nightlight who benefit from the affordable readings, the affordable tuition. We all thank those of you who had a little bit of room in your budget to donate and give back to this community and to the channel and the free content. My pledge to you is to continue making the best content that I can in the year ahead, and I hope that you will enjoy it. I hope that it will enrich your life, help you learn astrology, and help you walk a meaningful spiritual path with astrology. If you purchased a reward through the Kickstarter campaign, a small note to say that we will be reaching out via email to all backers in all reward categories with instructions on how to receive that reward or how we're sending it to you. So stay tuned for that. It's easier if we don't get bombarded with emails asking, but you just wait for us to reach out with the instructions, which we typically get to in the first few days after the campaign. Given that there's a weekend coming up really quickly after the end of the campaign, some of the rewards we'll get to right away. Others will begin probably the start of next week, but within a week, we should have all of them out and rolling. So stay tuned for all of those rewards coming your way. And also this year, Kickstarter has a new feature that allows us to keep the rewards open for purchase for as long as we want. Afterward, we elected to do it for a week. So between now and January 8th, if you follow the Kickstarter link that will continue to be at the top of the comment section, you can purchase a reward if you wanted one, but missed out for whatever reason. So we'll keep those rewards available for 1 week up until January 8th. On that note, again, thank you to 2,042 backers, our best year ever. And all of you to thank, and a growing audience of amazing people. So it's a joy to serve you with this content. And I hope that your new year is off to a very bright and auspicious start. And I hope you'll enjoy today's content. Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Today we're going to take a look at Mars in Leo, retrograde, opposing Pluto in Aquarius. These two planets got together a few months ago in an opposition, and we are going to now be looking at the second part of their connection. And today I'll also outline for you the final connection that will come after Mars has finished its retrograde in direct motion again. So we'll kind of review the overall timeline of these three Mars-Pluto oppositions that that is part of Mars's total cycle here with its retrograde. And then I'm going to give you 5 things to watch for today, given the Mars-Pluto opposition. So that is our agenda for today. Before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. It's great to hear from you. If you have stories to share, always use the hashtag grabbed. Tell us the name of the transit and your story in the comment section, or send us an email, grabbed@nightlightastrology.com, if you've got a good story to share. I'll probably be doing a storytelling episode soon, especially now that I can focus on getting back to some other content. Like I'll be continuing the Planets and Profile series on the moon now that the new year is here and the Kickstarter push is over. So yeah, that will be something to do as well. Will be to hear some of your stories through a Grabbed episode. Anyway, like and subscribe, share your comments. We love it to hear from you guys. You can find transcripts of any of these daily talks on the website, nightlightastrology.com. If there's something you missed in the Kickstarter campaign, where the Kickstarter has this option now where you can keep the rewards open as a sort of sale/shop page for a little bit after the Kickstarter is over. So we'll probably keep it open for the next week. If there's something you wanted to pick up that you missed, head over to nightlightastrology.com, click on the 2025 Kickstarter tab. It'll take you there and you can pick up something after the campaign's over. So thank you to everybody again for making the Kickstarter really successful this year. All right, let's take a look at the real-time clock and let us refresh on the nature of this transit. So here we are on Thursday, January 2nd, and Mars opposite Pluto. Now, this retrograde transit has been applying for a little bit, pretty closely, because Mars turned retrograde around 5 degrees of Leo, 5 or 6, if I remember correctly. So the opposition here is forming today into tomorrow. So January 2nd and 3rd, we feel that opposition. Now, that opposition will then be kind of present all the way up until about January 6th, when Mars then retrogrades into the sign of Cancer. The opposition between Mars and Pluto can be felt in a lot of different ways. It is a transit that is very powerful. People often get quite freaked out of Mars-Pluto oppositions. Understandably, there's some things to watch for that we'll talk about today that can be difficult. But this opposition can also be highly transformative and can really help us to push and move through things that maybe we need to move through that we've been stuck with. So in terms of pushing through blocks, let's call them, it's a good transit for that. Let's look at the timeline, though, because if we back this up just a little bit, the opposition between these two planets, which came at the very last degrees of the Cancer and Capricorn, happened about November 3rd. So you can see here's the opposition we experienced at the very beginning of November. Now, that opposition was in Cancer and Capricorn, so a little different sign signature here. But now we see this retrograde opposition. And then if we track this forward a little bit, Mars will be in Cancer retrograde all the way up until about late February, about the 23rd it stations. Then it turns direct. After it turns direct, Mars will come back through the sign of Cancer into Leo and will make the opposition one last time around April 25th, the 26th, into the 27th. Those 3 days, Mars is in a very tight opposition with Pluto once more. So this opposition that we're dealing with right now has a kind of echo point through direct motion in late April. We are going to keep that in mind because there is likely going to be a connection between the events happening right now and the events of late April. So keep that in mind, and here are 5 things to watch for. Now, you may notice, by the way, my content is a little bit condensed and shorter this week. That's because I'm just taking a moment to rest and kind of like reset myself for a new year of content ahead. Usually the first week of the year, I kind of tone it down a little bit and try to just do a little bit of resting. The kids are off from school for the first week, so I like try to hang out with them a little bit more. So more full-bodied content will return next week, just so everybody knows. So 5 things to watch for. The first thing that's very Mars-Pluto are going to be power struggles and conflicts. It's textbook. Mars opposite Pluto gets into whose power is the most powerful. who's going to win? And some power struggles and conflicts are inevitable and necessary and fated and destined, and they help us build things like confidence. They help us develop our boundaries. They help us recover lost self-esteem. They help us to say, no, I'm not going to be a doormat. And all of those empowering kinds of themes around Mars-Pluto can be a very good and healthy part of the kinds of conflicts and power struggles we encounter right now that we sort of have to. So I don't want to say that it's all bad. However, if you can avoid power struggles and conflicts because you see it coming, you see it brewing, you see yourself reacting and wanting to win, or you see yourself being, kind of triggered by someone else's attitude or behavior, and you're like, I'm gonna flip out and get into a big fight with someone. You don't have to. We can also imagine right now that some of us may have a choice, that some of us may not. Maybe it's destined. But if you do have a choice, how do you want to handle conflict? And Mars retrograde in the mix of this is a great opportunity for us to look at how we manage or handle conflict and just do it differently. I don't have to do the same old way I don't have to get into the same old kinds of conflicts that I've gotten in before, or I can handle a conflict differently. So watch for the theme of power struggles and conflicts, and then think about how you want to engage with this moment if one is starting to appear. Number 2 would be motivation and breakthroughs. When Mars opposite Pluto takes place and Mars is retrograde, it could be that you are finding motivation, or you're able to move through something that has been stuck or blocked or sort of inert. Maybe you're trying something new, or maybe you're considering a different perspective, or you're taking up a new approach that allows you to gather momentum, create some new motivation, find yourself breaking through something where you've been stuck previously. Mars-Pluto can be tremendously empowering. It's like the pressure that forces something to move through a kind of constrictive space. And it can be very eruptive and cathartic like that. And sometimes there's a, you know, people like to associate this kind of transit with like the Tower card because it can feel sort of destructive. But I like to also think about a Mars Pluto opposition as providing the opportunity for greater motivation and the intensity and the perseverance and courage and determination to break through in an area where we've been stuck. So there's an eruptive force of willpower and strength and motivation and confidence and courage that can help us sort of, you know, get through a place that we felt blocked. And that's a great piece of a Mars Pluto opposition. We may also notice that there are just eruptions of Mars energy. Suddenly I feel hot, angry. Suddenly I get a fever. Suddenly there's an agitation on my skin. You may just notice that the hot, fiery qualities of Mars are also dealing with the feeling of not being able to do something. Retrogrades can frustrate a planet. So eruptions of Mars energy with Mars retrograde opposite Pluto could mean that there's an eruption of frustration. There's an eruption of things that are sort of impeding and blocking and frustrating your will or your path forward. So watch for eruptions of Mars energy to appear. And the question again becomes, how do I manage or handle or channel this in the right direction? Also, just forgive yourself. If Mars energy erupts, it's like, 'tis the season. It happens. And if it does, can I be kind to myself? Can I just allow for that? Okay, that came through. What can I learn from it? How would I do it differently next time? But don't beat yourself up too bad if you suddenly just deal with a wave of intense frustration or irritation, or you're a little snippy. That can happen under a transit like this. And also, so too can I'm gonna start something new. Mars loves to initiate new things, new activities. It is inceptional in that regard. And so the inceptional energy of Mars opposite Pluto can have you feeling ready for something. I'm going to do something. I'm going to act and maybe start something. Mars loves to start things. Number 4 would be personal versus collective tensions. Remember, we have the Leo Aquarius axis activated for this. And that means that the tension between these two places can be really, these two archetypes can be quite intense. The collective energy of Pluto in Aquarius may have you feeling like you're getting squashed into a category rather than being seen as a person. Individuals can be seen in terms of the way that they best benefit or harm a group, or a group could be seen as something that is a threat to an individual, like that. So the tension between the personal tendencies of Leo and the collective tendencies of Aquarius may be in sharp conflict right now. How do you handle that conflict? Maybe you handle it differently because Mars is retrograde. There's an opportunity to reflect and revisit some way that you have of dealing with collective pressures that are a reality for all of us versus the way you carry yourself as an individual. So watch for those tensions either way. And then number 5 would be revisions or healing around anger and fathers. In particular with Mars retrograde, I wonder about generational healing, trauma from the past with respect to things like dads or authority figures. That's a big part of Leo, of course, being the sign of the sun, and also just anger in general. I think most of us feel uncomfortable wielding anger because it burns us as much as it can burn other people. And there's a feeling like, I better just not touch this. But anger is also something that we have to have a relationship with, and we have to know how to work with in the right way. Mars retrogrades are a great opportunity for us to reflect upon our relationship with anger, frustration, irritation, and also passion, all kind of fiery energies that there's an opportunity to refine our relationship with. I'll never forget, Thich Nhat Hanh wrote a book about anger, and I read it at a time in my life. I think it was Saturn was opposing my natal Mars. And I was going through a period of time where it just felt like, oh my gosh, I feel so agitated. And anyway, this was a particularly like acute transit around that topic for me because it was Mars. And I remember reading his book about anger, and he talked about, it's like there's a tiger inside of you and you have to develop a relationship with it. If you starve it, if you don't feed it, it gets to be meaner, right? So there's this weird way in which we need to understand the energy and have a right relationship with it. I couldn't possibly tell you what that is because I'm still working on it, I'm sure we all are, but is this an opportunity where we can deepen our relationship with that energy and become wiser about it? You know, we feel anger, but what do we feed it? How do we let it express? That's important. I even remember Mr. Rogers saying to little kids, "You must feel really angry right now." Yeah, like just validating it. Like if Mr. Rogers validates a child's anger, um, you know, what does that say about its existence? That it's bad and should be done away with. A kid should feel ashamed for feeling it. That doesn't help my kids, I can tell you that. And it doesn't help me, even though I'm an adult. I still need to be able to validate the emotions I feel and work with them. You know, starting with validation and acceptance goes a long way when it comes to difficult Mars transits. If we can accept what's happening rather than immediately react against it in an oppositional struggle, then the struggle we have is just held differently. It doesn't go away, but it's held differently. So anyway, things to consider. I hope you guys are having a nice start to your year. Thanks again for supporting the Kickstarter campaign. And if you missed any of the sales you want to take advantage of, head over to the Kickstarter through the website, nightlightastrology.com. You'll see the 2025 Kickstarter link there. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.